In chapter 7 of Isaiah, we have the most famous Messianic prophecy. The virgin shall give birth and bear a son, and you will call his name Emmanuel. Well, it means God with us, right? So that is definitely pointing to the fact that this Messiah is not going to be an ordinary human. And I'm pointing this out to you because over the years, there have been a lot of Jews who have disputed with Christians about the fact that about whether or not Jesus is the Messiah. Of course, they deny that he's the Messiah. But how do you explain these passages? And very often they will say things like, oh, this is a reference to Hezekiah, the birth of Hezekiah, who was one of the great kings of Israel. But, nobody ever called Hezekiah God. Nobody ever said he was God with us. But the entire world, a couple billion people on the planet regard Jesus as the incarnate God. The virgin birth itself is a sign of the divinity of Christ. Now, Muslims accept the virgin birth. They believe that Mary was a virgin and that Jesus is a product of a virgin birth, but they do not believe that he is the Son of God. So they're not accepting the remainder of the prophecy, only the first part, that he's born of a virgin. But even that should suggest his divinity. Another one of the criticisms is that the word in the original Hebrew is not the word virgin. That is true, but it's actually a stronger word in Hebrew. It is alma. It does not mean young woman. Alma is not the word for young woman. Alma is a word for a girl who is engaged to be married, who is concealed. She is kept away, hidden from public view by her parents. So she's not somebody who's just an ordinary young woman, going out and going and doing whatever she wishes. And the idea behind that, if a girl is getting married, is that she's a virgin. She's a maiden. So it presumes that she's a virgin. And so the translators of the Hebrew Bible, the Septuagint translators, made this quite explicit when they said she is a virgin. And the reason why they made that explicit is because that was their understanding of what this verse meant in Hebrew, that she was Alma, that the Alma, the concealed young lady, will be found to be with child. Okay, that she will conceive. Well, how is that possible? Only by divine grace, by an act of God. So it is presumed that she's a virgin. And what else is the presumption? This will be a sign. It's a miracle. The sign is the Jewish term for a miracle. So that's very important to remember, because no one should ever translate this verse as, this will be a sign, a young woman will conceive. Well, that's not a sign. That's not a miracle. Just that some young woman conceives. That's normal for young women. That's not an unusual thing. That in itself is not miraculous. So if you're ever in a conversation with somebody about this, you have to remember this. This is why I'm repeating it for you, because I expect you to remember these things and be able to discuss them intelligently, and not be tongue-tied or ashamed or unable to respond when you hear people say this.